I mean, I do have some ethical rules, but like here are like four rules that I have for guys in general. Number one, if you have parties back at your place, there should be a camera in all common areas, not in the bedroom. There should be a camera in all common areas. Trust me, it saves everybody a lot of issues. Somebody stole something, and then you can quickly go back and review the camera footage. Number two, men do not pour women's drinks. Only women pour women's drinks. Whenever I have parties like that, I always assign one really hot girl to do all the drink pouring because I've had too many issues where girls will be like, "Oh, I drank too much," or "Someone drugged me," and like nobody drugged you. You just don't know how to drink. And so that's another thing. The third thing is I never send lascivious messages ever. Like I just don't. If a girl wants something lascivious from me, she can come get it from me in person. If a girl sends me nudes, I write back like "Go with God." You have to imagine that every time you send a girl a message, as soon as like in the moment she loves that you're validating her, but if something goes wrong between you and her, she's going to use all those messages. Like she potentially could use all those messages against you. You see what's going on with Andrew Tate right now. You see all these other people. They leave you saw the shit with the voice memos with what's his face, Tiger Woods back in the day. Anything you leave is just going to be a trail. So I just recommend people just don't do that at all. Just stay away from that. So those are my main rules that I have for guys, just to stay out of trouble, just in general. And then the last one is this: if you do have sex with a girl, you need to on the way back, you need to be like, "Hey, just want to make sure you had, make sure you got home okay," or "Hey, I had a great time." You need to get one positive affirmation response back from her. This is actually the first time I ever heard this was in the show Billions. Bobby Axelrod, his attorney comes up to him and goes, "No matter what happens on this date, you're going to text the girl at the end. You're going to say, 'Hey, let's meet up for drinks later on this week.'" And when she responds back, "Hey, yeah, I had a great time," she can't go off later when her boyfriend finds out that she cheated. She can't go off and say, "Oh, he took advantage of me," or something like that. So I would recommend those four things to just kind of protect you in general. I know those are not like rules for pickup artists, but in general, those are the four things that I've seen that have really, like, I've had a lot of guys come back to me afterwards and thank me for that because it really does protect you from guys. It's not that women are out there just like all trying to falsely accuse men. The issue is that's happening is that a lot of times, this is the most common one that's happened, is a girl has a great time and ends up cheating on her dude with another guy. And then her guy finds out about it. And then she runs off with some story about how she got taken advantage of. That's the issue that I've seen happen, especially some of my wealthier clients. I've seen that happen before. And that's what I would like to recommend you guys protect yourself from those four steps that I just mentioned before, because I've just seen this happen too many times. It's not that girls are running around just being like, "Oh, I got raped" all the time. It's very small percentage of girls that run off and do that. They usually have borderline personality disorder. We're talking about like maybe 4, 5, 6% of women. But what I have seen happen on a few occasions is a girl ends up hooking up with a guy. She goes on stage at a nightclub or whatever. She ends up hooking up with the DJ, and then she tells people that the DJ took advantage of her so that her boyfriend doesn't leave her. So that's a place where you could get yourself in a lot of trouble. So that's what I would recommend you protect yourself from.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off the back of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call this like post-sex consent. I think like 95% of the time that I think you're gonna get like these false, let's call it like false rape allegations, right? Is that it's gonna be not pre-sexual consent. So most guys out there, hopefully, aren't fucking psychopaths. And when you're on a date and a girl like says no, you know what no means, right? It's like very clear and obvious, and hopefully no one like goes past that boundary. But it's more these times where the girl's maybe a little unsure at first, but then you guys start getting along a little bit more, and then maybe you get back to your place, and she's like, "Oh, look, I'm not really sure about this," and you're like, "Yeah, it's cool," and then like you pull back, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, maybe I do want this," and you start making out. She gets a bit turned on, or it's a case where like maybe she's like, "Look, I never want to do anal. I'd never do with this a guy," and then it's like in the moment it feels good, and then she's like, "Holy shit, like my ass is gonna sit with this is great," and then next minute you fuck her in the ass or some shit. And it's usually pre-sex, girls are going to be fine with stuff. It's post-sex that they can start having these rationalizations. They can start to think back. And now they're like, hang on, I'm not the type of girl to go home and have sex with a guy on the first night. But I did with this guy. Did he like make me do that? And they start to rationalize it. So it's always important. Don't have sex with a girl and then kick her out and go to the club. Okay. You always need to have just a little moment of aftercare at least and just lay there with the girl. And I like to just chill back a little bit. The girl's going to hopefully chasing and ask some questions. But give her some space to kind of think about it. And sometimes if you are worried, then yeah, validate the experience. That was a lot of fun for me. I really enjoyed that. She's like, yeah, me too. Because it could even just be something small. The fact that like, okay, you didn't really feel the chemistry, you don't want to see this girl again. But then she's like, holy fuck, he just used me for sex, right? He had this intention the entire time and he didn't make it clear. So yeah, I agree with Michael there. Always make sure sending that message afterwards. Last night was fire. She sends it back. That's really good. I kind of I have a different view about the sexting or messages with girls. I think I see it the opposite way. I see it if I'm messaging a girl and I'm into BDSM and we're chatting about that. I actually like to have that on text. I like to say like, "What are you into?" And
Oh, I
she
see
can
what you're
tell me
saying.
like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
like I like to be choked. I really like this." And then I'll be like, "Look, this is what I have imagined for us," and I can sext it. She'll be like, "That sounds so hot." I screenshot that shit. So later on, when she's like, "I've got bruises on me or something," potentially, I'm like, "Hang on, like." You told me how much you love
You know,
bruises a second
so
ago.
so
So
so Marcus is bringing up a great point because he screenshots it. What I was talking about, Marcus, what I've seen before is that they'll go back and forth on IGDM and she'll unsend all of her messages. I've seen girls screenshot that. But you're right. Like if you screenshot it first and then you kind of protect yourself. I've just seen anything like what Marcus said before. Imagine like you end up hooking up with a girl and then she finds out, oh shit, Marcus is a dating coach and I've never had sex with a guy on a first date like that. He manipulated me. And like shit like that will get you in
mhm.
trouble. Or maybe they're like, oh, this guy I hooked up with, he subscribes to Game Global. He must be using Game. And then they just reverse rationalize how they could never have done this thing that they just did. And so you're right. That's one of the issues that you're going to have, which is why, like I said before, I love having the hey, had an incredible time last night. I'll write a message like, hey man, so or I'll be like, hey, I'm totally sorry I kept you up all night. LOL, and then she'll write me back like, no, I had a great time. Cool, we're good. I don't have to worry about anything else after that. But what Marcus is saying is also good. I also there's an attorney who's in Men of Action, JC. He works for the State Department in Florida, and he told me this, and I thought it was a really great piece of advice. He said, tell the girl, he said, get in your favorite position. And I thought that was interesting because he was when he said it to him, I didn't think about it at first, but he's like, he tells the girl, get in your favorite position or show me your favorite position because she's getting in a position that she's not going to complain about. And she's also uh, offering consent at the same time. So I really like that piece of advice. It's something that I've tried recently is like, hey, show me your favorite position. Because then they can't go back and reverse rationalize and be like, oh, he forced me into doing something. So this is always I think this issue we're talking about is only going to get progressively worse. I don't really think it's going to get better. I just don't think I think there's just too many ways that this can go wrong and why as a guy you just have to protect yourself.
Why do you think it's going to get worse?
Because the Overton window always shifts to the left. I mean, throughout history. I mean, you guys, the biggest. This is way off topic here, but the biggest purveyor of information right now, the biggest power source of controlling people right now is going to be artificial intelligence, and I mean like Perplexity.ai, ChatGPT, Claude, and these places are completely and totally just indoctrinated by woke ideology. And I think we're going to get to a point where, as long as that's happening, the Overton window is going to continually shift to the left. There's colleges, campuses right now where they call you bigoted because you don't want to date a trans person. We're headed in that direction. That's why honestly, that's the reason why we're only going in one direction. We're not stopping it. And because of that, I do think like you just, hey, I'm a heterosexual masculine man. Like I'm the first one to get canceled now. I'm a cisgendered heterosexual masculine man from Texas who believes in God, canceled. So I do, and I'm not trying to play victim here, but I just, I have noticed over time and also being a content creator on the internet, the things you can get canceled for, like misgendering someone on Twitter is one of the craziest things. They were actually taking your account down for that. I think we're just getting to a point very quickly where in certain spaces there's just going to be a complete lack of tolerance. If you've seen some of the debates on college campuses where people just have any discussion whatsoever about gender dynamics or intersexual dynamics or evolutionary psychology, they're being booed off campus. I just think we're only going in one direction. And so I think it's going to get more and more difficult. And at the same time, while it gets more and more difficult, women are going to crave more and more masculine men. There's great studies in Norway where in Norway, they actually have women make as much money, if not more money than men. It's a much more egalitarian society. And those women even want men who are more masculine than the average because of the society that they've been put in. So I think both things are true. Like what we still have to protect ourselves, but at the same time, our evolution, women are still going to want masculine men.
The funny part is I'm not misgendering you. You're misgendering yourself. Yeah, and then you're getting their pronouns
And we're just
correct,
canceled.
but
Man,
they're
just
not
throw it. YouTube
canceled.
video is down, bro. We're just done. We're all canceled.
Fuck, even Zoom stopped the recording. Fuck.